Virginia will feel the drilling moratorium as well. A lease sale scheduled for August has been canceled, putting any drilling exploration off for at least a year. Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell supports offshore drilling and says it can be done safely. But as Lee Patrick Sullivan reports, many one-time supporters are now having second thoughts in the wake of the Gulf disaster.
The canceling of the Virginia offshore drilling lease sales by President Obama puts the future of drilling in the Atlantic on hold for now, possibly for good. Newly elected Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell made drilling a campaign issue. The governor wanted to tap into what's believed to be a large natural gas reserve off Virginia's coast and all the royalties into the state's coffers that come with it. Former Virginia Governor Tim Kaine, now the chair of the Democratic National Committee, was also in favor of offshore exploration to find out what oil and gas reserves were actually out there. But the Deepwater Horizon disaster in the Gulf has the former governor rethinking his position.
You know, you would look at all the options and then you would weigh them, put them all on the table, including the environmental conditions. And certainly the need to be diligent about that has definitely been escalated dramatically by what we've seen in the Gulf.
Virginia has hundreds of miles of beaches, bringing in tourism dollars to the state. Visitors to Virginia Beach alone spend nearly $900 million a year. Now, some critics of offshore drilling claim that the sight of those platforms would be devastating to tourism, so we decided to take a look. Right now, we are 14 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, whereas President Obama's offshore drilling plans announced in March would have called for drilling up to 50 miles offshore. Not being able to see the rigs from the shoreline was one of the reasons the mayor of Virginia Beach was in favor of drilling off the coast of his city. And just like the former governor, events in the Gulf have given him pause.
What I support right now is everything being on hold until we understand what occurred out in the Gulf. That's what I support right now.
But the mayor hasn't given up on energy production off his shores altogether.
My focus today is greatly enhanced for pushing wind energy.
Experts say Virginia's shallow coastline is ideal for wind turbines, a fact pushed by the Virginia chapter of the Sierra Club, which was opposed to any offshore drilling long before the disaster in the Gulf.
The Gulf spill is just highlighted is just how wrong the oil industry has been. I mean, they contended that new technology, advanced technology, has rendered their business safe, that there isn't an accident. But we even knew that before that was just completely blown out of water with the Australian spill last summer. It wasn't reported too much in the media, but the spill off the coast of Australia in the Timor Sea went uncontrolled for 3 months before they brought it under control, and that was a brand new rig. That was a rig built in 2007.
And there's also strong opposition from the Virginia coastline's biggest employer, the Department of Defense.
Drilling there would have very serious negative impact on the combat readiness of the U.S. Armed Forces.
The area oil companies want to drill is also the main training site for the United States Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, as well as NASA. The military conducts exercises with live ammunition on a daily basis.
Oil rigs are actually fragile, vulnerable, and volatile. It doesn't take very much to cause a disaster like we saw with the Deepwater Horizon. A stray missile or a stray bomb could cause catastrophic damage.
This past week, the Department of Defense released a report opposing offshore drilling off the coast of Virginia. The Pentagon report showed that roughly 75% of a proposed lease site would be completely off limits to oil and gas exploration because it would interfere with training, especially the Norfolk Naval Base, the world's largest.
And all it takes is just one spill. And it's even a fraction of the size of the one in the Gulf Coast. Would just wreak havoc devastate our Virginia coastal economies.
The upcoming Virginia lease sale has been canceled, but the White House has not given any indication when a new sale will be considered. In Virginia Beach, Virginia, Lee Patrick Sullivan, Clean Skies News.
Well, back from the Virginia coast and joining us now is Lee Patrick Sullivan. So Lee, if there are large reserves off the coast of Virginia, could the military move to another part of the ocean to do its training?
You would think it would be easier for them just to move and drop bombs somewhere else, but the Pentagon says that they have spent millions of dollars on sensors that are calibrated to that part of the ocean, sensors that measure things like ocean depth, speed of planes, explosiveness of bombs, things like that, and they say it would be too expensive to pack all that up and move to a different part of the ocean. Also, you have to remember the Virginia coast is where John Paul Jones met up with the French Navy in the Revolutionary War. So you have 230 years of unexploded ordnances off the coast of Virginia. And I'm not an expert, but I would assume that drilling near live ammunition would be a dangerous thing. And also after World War II, this area was an ocean dump site for chemical weapons. So you have a bunch of chemical weapons and unexploded bombs right over the area where these oil companies want to drill.
So Lee, what about, as Governor Kane has suggested in the past, they do more exploration of that area, find out what kind of oil reserves are out there, and then make an informed decision on whether or not to drill?
Well, critics say that the problem is the way the MMS lease structure is right now. The way it is right now is that once oil company holds that lease, they do the exploration, not the government. And if they find oil, no matter how much it is, they can go ahead and start drilling. So if BP goes out there, it says that there's 10 million barrels of oil and some natural gas in that area, and Virginia says, no, we don't want you to drill, that's not enough versus the risk, they have no authority to stop them from drilling.
And what about wind turbines getting in the way of the military activity?
Well, the area that we were in the package, we were 14 miles from the coast, and we talked to our boat captain, and he said that the water depth 14 miles away from the coast is only 37 feet. So they can put wind turbines as far as 14 miles out. You won't be able to see them from shore. And also, if a wind turbine is hit by a bomb, they would assume that that would be less damage than if an oil rig was hit by one.
Okay, Lee Patrick Sullivan, thank you.